Welcome back to the Wrestling Rewind with your host, Max.
Vitamin J.
We are finally in the month of February 1997. Finally, praise the Lord. Both shows are now going to be 2 hours long. From here on out, Nitro will eventually move to 3 hours, but we'll worry about that in the future. Let me get into why Raw is 2 hours this week. They were going to show the Royal Rumble in its entirety, the Royal Rumble match itself, not the whole pay-per-view. But the pay-per-view companies did not like that. So instead of showing the Royal Rumble during this Raw, we will see clips of it. So the look of Raw this week is going to look like a house show because Vince had to create a 2-hour show on the fly, and it used footage from a house show. But after this week, apparently USA Network liked it so much they said from here on it will be 2 hours. So that's what happened there. But we will start off with Nitro in Memphis, Tennessee this week. Nitro opens up with the NWO coming into the arena. Yep, of course. It's namely Hollywood Hogan, Ted DiBiase, and Vincent. Hogan is talking about Roddy Piper. He says the crippled Piper will be here tonight. And Hogan says he wants Piper to admit that Hogan is better than him. Hogan says he will put the NWO title on the line, and if Piper has any guts, he will accept the challenge.
We'll address this our first podcast we've done since the death of Hogan, so rest in peace, Hulk Hogan.
Yes, of course. Rest in peace to the icon. But Hogan ends this segment with his typical posing routine as we go to commercial. But we'll go over to Raw since now we can go back and forth. Raw doesn't open up with a promo segment. We open up with our first match. It is Vader with Paul Bearer versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. When you're watching this, you'll notice the quality of the footage is a lot poorer than the quality that we normally see. And again, this is just footage from a house show. They are in Toronto, Canada. But for this match, as Austin gets into the ring, Bret Hart runs out and he starts attacking Stone Cold. Vader then attacks Bret Hart and they go back and forth. And then Bret Hart is eventually escorted out by WWF officials.
Crowd's hot when Bret came out. Obviously because it's in Canada, but still.
Yes, and this is, of course, building towards the Fatal 4-Way match that we got going on at the next In Your House. But to start the match, Austin stomps a mud hole in Vader. Then he turns his back and Vader runs him over, typical Vader fashion. Then he goes for the Vader splash, but the ref goes to stop Vader for some reason. Vader shoves the ref and then Austin gets up and low blows him. The ref gets back into the ring only for Vader to Irish whip Stone Cold into the ref as we go to commercial. After commercial, we see a Vader splash for a 2 count, and then he goes for the sit-down splash, but Austin moves out of the way and scoop slams him to a decent response from the crowd there. And then the two start trading blows back and forth until Austin gets another low blow on Vader, and then he starts choking Vader with his boot. The ref grabs Austin off of him to get him to stop, so Austin doesn't like it, so he hits the ref with the Stone Cold Stunner. This is the first time, at least I've noticed, that he did the kick before the stunner.
The kick does add a little extra flair.
Yes, it works. Vince on commentary says that Austin was disqualified, of course. Vader will win this match by disqualification, but we're not done yet. Austin and Vader brawl. Austin throws Vader into the ring steps. They continue to brawl as officials come out to separate them. As I believe we go to commercial after that as well. But for the match, I mean, it was fine. TV match, house show match, whatever you want to call it. The finish was lame, but again, this was intended to be a house show, so I'm not going to be too harsh. So not a bad opener there. Before we go to commercial, Vince does advertise that next week, Raw will be airing on Thursday. Raw Thursday. But let's go back to Nitro. The first match for Nitro is Rey Mendoza Jr. versus the Ultimate Dragon with Sonny Ono. This is our second time seeing Mendoza. We saw him in November, but he was Tony Pena at that time. And we will then soon see him put on a mask and be Villano 5. But the match starts here with some trading of wrist locks and hammer locks. But later, Dragon hits a suicide dive, brings Mendoza back into the ring. And during this whole deal, Tony Schiavone tells us that a couple weeks ago, Piper got attacked by the NWO, and he was screaming something in Gaelic. Apparently, they were able to translate that. And whatever Piper said was translated, the battle is not over until he goes home. And I guess that is just showing that Piper is not done with Hogan. But anyways, late in the match, Dragon hits a Super Rana from the top rope, which the crowd liked, and Dragon wins with the Dragon suplex for the win in 3 minutes and 13 seconds. Let's quickly do the second match for Nitro. It is Billy Kidman versus Glacier. But this is another quick match, 2 minutes, 8 seconds. Glacier wins with the cryonic kick.
That's a good cryonic kick. Good sell from Kidman. No one cares about Glacier, but, you know.
But no one cares about Kidman at this point either.
No.
So yeah, waste of time here. But WCW was trying with Glacier. They really did.
Yeah, they spent all that money.
But let's go back to Raw. Before our second match, we have a ramp interview with Savio Vega. Vega says he does not care what the fans think. The Nation of Domination is going to be the #1 group in the WWF, and the Latin American people are going to be proud of him. But Vince, on commentary before this match starts, he mentions that the WWF does not do bait and switches, which of course he's referring to WCW doing their own bait and switches. This week's Raw essentially is a bait and switch because he advertised last week the whole Royal Rumble would air, and it does not.
More specifically, Vince is referring to the Giant and Hogan match that aired during the commercials of that Robin Hood show.
But the thing is with Vince saying this is that this is a house show, so the commentary was added in afterwards.
Yeah.
So Vince said that knowing that he had to put this on.
Well, you know how Vince is.
Yeah. But anyways, the second match for Raw is Flash Funk versus Savio Vega. Flash at one point hits a nice turnaround frog splash, but of course, eventually the Nation of Domination get involved. But Funk, for a little bit, is able to hold them off, and then he gets him back into the ring, and he tries to hit a top rope moonsault, but Vega gets out of the way and covers Flash Funk for the win. And then after the match, Farouk meets Savio Vega on the entranceway, and he gives him a hug, and it looks like he is officially solidly in the Nation of Domination. He's one of the boys now.
I will mention the next segment after this match on WWE is not on the network.
Oh, really? I missed that. Okay.
If Vince McMahon does an interview with Peter Wilson, who is the star of La Femme Nikita, the reason I'm guessing why it's not on the network is because it's not relevant to the show, and two, there's probably some licensing agreement. I don't know. Anyway, but it's basically just Vince asking a bunch of questions, and he says there's a certain degree of sex that everyone appreciates in it. I was like, oh, what the hell are you doing, Vince? But she no-sells it because obviously she don't want to talk about that. She just like brushes it off and says it's a proper show that you can watch quietly at your home.
We didn't miss much, but it's still weird to take that out. But let's go back over to Nitro, where we have our third match. It is Ice Train with Teddy Long versus La Parka. During the match, Ice Train overpowers La Parka. He hits a solid shoulder tackle on him. And then he nails La Parka with a clothesline. Then hits a power slam, and he's just dominating La Parka.
That was a pretty good power slam.
Oh, yeah. Ice Train does have some good power slams. But during the match, we also cut backstage to where we see the Outsiders beat up Lex Luger with some metal pipes. Nash and Hall are wearing Giant and Luger shirts, so just a little troll job there. And of course, the commentary team then wonder if Luger will be ready for his match tonight. We shall see. But back to the match, Ice Train continues his domination with a belly-to-belly suplex, and then he wins the match with his body splash, I guess you can call it, warrior splash, whatever. But he gets some good height on it, too.
He's a big boy, so...
Yeah.
After the match, Teddy Long says that 1997 is going to be the year of Ice Train and The Godfather. I was like, if only you knew.
Yeah, not going to be Ice Train's year. But for this match, I was a little disappointed that La Parka didn't win because Ice Train hasn't really done much. I was a little annoyed by that, but they clearly saw some potential in Ice Train, which I think he did have some potential, but just never got there. So after that match, we do get a ramp interview with the Four Horsemen. There is no Arn Anderson this week. Remember, he has recently retired from wrestling due to injury. But Benoit's here, and he says it is quite evident that the Horsemen have been undergoing a tough transition period due to injuries and miscommunication. But the flip side is that he found out who his friends are and who you can count on. Benoit says he takes pride in being a Horseman, and he says the Horsemen have a new perspective now. Woman chimes in. She says she likes everything but one thing, and that is Jacqueline. And she tells Jackie that Jackie got her leftovers, and she even says it complete with a sassy snap.
That's some cattiness.
Mongo goes to talk and tries to take the mic away from Mean Gene, but Mean Gene is not letting go of that microphone. He's not having it. Mongo asked the WCW committee to have him replace Luger in the match against Jeff Jarrett tonight. The crowd boos at that. Again, we are in Memphis, Tennessee. This is Jarrett country. And then Deborah, she talks shit about Jacqueline, saying she has a face for radio. Flair then comes in and says the Horsemen have worked through it all and are united. And then he talks some trash to Sullivan. So he does not take Kevin Sullivan seriously, and neither do the Horsemen. But this feud with Benoit Sullivan will never end. But anyways, that is that segment. A lot of these Horsemen segments are just kind of nothing.
Yeah, this one was a dud.
Yep. But let's go back over to Raw, where we have a couple of interviews here. The first one being an in-ring interview with Psycho Sid. JR asks Sid about his match against Shawn Michaels for the WWF title next Thursday. Sid says he heard Shawn say the relationship between the two of them is a roller coaster. They have a friendship that's on the edge of madness, but next Thursday, the ride stops, and when it does, he will be standing as master and ruler of the world. The promo itself was fine. It wasn't really good. It wasn't really bad. It is what it is. It was fine. But then after that interview, we go to a backstage interview with the British Bulldog and Owen Hart. Vince McMahon asks Bulldog about Owen eliminating him at the Royal Rumble. Owen Hart cuts in and tells Vince to stop trying to stir up trouble between him and the Bulldog. And he explains that he was trying to eliminate Stone Cold and accidentally eliminated Bulldog. It was an accident.
It happens, it happens to the best of us.
Davey Boy, though, he scoffs at this, and Vince asks Bulldog about calling Owen an idiot. Owen again cuts in and tells Bulldog that again, it was an accident, and he doesn't need Bulldog calling him an idiot, and the two bicker as we go to commercial. But I did like this one better than the Sid one, just because Bulldog and Owen just play off each other so well.
Yeah, anytime Owen's on the mic, you're going to probably get some laughs.
Yeah, well, and these two are familiar with each other. They are in-laws, so... But we'll go ahead and go to our third match for Raw. It is Philip LaFawn and Doug Furnas versus Owen Hart and the British Bulldog. This is a WWF Tag Team Championship match. This was a fairly long match, 14 minutes and 30 seconds. I'm not going to go through every move here, but there were multiple times during this match where Furnas and LaFawn appeared that they were going to win the match, but the ref was distracted every time. But later on, Owen Hart goes to tag in Bulldog, but Bulldog has his back turned to Owen because Bulldog is flexing his muscles to the crowd. He's not paying attention. So Owen turns Bulldog around and he has a word with him about not paying attention during the match. Furnas is able to sneak a pin on Owen, but Owen kicks out. He shoves Furnas into the back of Bulldog, causing Bulldog to fall off the apron. And then Bulldog and Owen Hart start arguing with each other again as we go to commercial. And then later on, some more accidents happen between Bulldog and Owen Hart. Bulldog accidentally throws Owen Hart over the ropes as he wasn't looking at who was running towards him. He was trying to pull down the ropes, but he wasn't paying attention again, and it actually was Owen Hart who was running the ropes. So Owen Hart shouts in pain on the outside of the ring, saying his knee is hurt, and he eventually gets counted out. So Furnas and LaFawn win, but of course the titles don't change hands.
Okay, so I don't like that they did both the 3 count with the foot in the rope and the count out in the same match.
Yeah, it seems like they overdid it, but clearly they just don't want to give Furnas and LaFawn the championships.
And they want to keep showing, discord between Bulldog and Owen.
But this match was fine. We get 14 minutes, 30 seconds. But over on Nitro, we have the fourth match there. It is Harlem Heat with Sister Sherry versus the Steiner Brothers. Before the match starts, we see the Faces of Fear and Public Enemy sitting in the crowd. The reason we're having this match is because last week the Harlem Heat interfered in the Steiner Brothers match. So here we are. The match goes on for a little bit here, and we see Scott Steiner hit Booker T with a double underhook suplex. And then the Faces of Fear and Public Enemy interfere and cause a disqualification. And then all 4 teams start brawling, and Public Enemy and the Faces of Fear fight each other all the way to the back, leaving the Steiners and Harlem Heat in the ring as they argue with the ref, and it looks like both teams are not happy about the no contest. The match only went 5 minutes and 2 seconds. We didn't get much between the two teams, but it was decent for what we got. And then fifth match for Nitro. It is Mike Enos versus Dean Malenko. But during this match, Syxx comes through the crowd and he steals the Cruiserweight title from the Timekeeper. Malenko, of course, is busy wrestling Mike Enos, so he does not see it happen. So the match continues on. Malenko eventually wins the match in 7 minutes and 9 seconds. He reverses a suplex into a small package for the win.
The ref Mark Curtis informs Dean Malenko that Syxx stole the title belt, and Dane is obviously none too pleased as they go to commercial. Stealing the belt seems to be Syxx's favorite hobby at this point in WCW.
Yes, he's got sticky fingers. He's stolen a U.S. title, another Cruiserweight title. But for this match, Enos got in a lot of offense, but I mean, he's the bigger guy, so it makes sense. But we're, of course, building towards a Malenko Syxx match, which has me intrigued. And let's go back over to Raw, where we have a backstage interview with Ahmed Johnson. Ahmed talks about his issues with the Nation of Domination. He says the issues are just beginning, and he has something in store for everybody today because he didn't take his Prozac today. And bad things happen when he doesn't take his Prozac. Did Prozac sponsor this episode? Ahmed Johnson also tells Savio Vega that he will pay, because remember, Savio Vega attacked Ahmed Johnson during a tag match, and that's when Savio joined the Nation. But apparently Ahmed needs to take his Prozac. It doesn't seem like he does most weeks because he's very angry.
Yeah, he's always very angry.
But then we see The Undertaker approach Ahmed, and he tells Ahmed that if he goes after the Nation now, then Ahmed will go alone. But if he waits till later tonight, then they'll bury them together. But Crush is in the next match, so that's why The Undertaker said that. He didn't want Ahmed to jump the gun and go after Crush now.
I think it's funny that The Undertaker chokes Ahmed. He puts his hand on Ahmed's throat. But to like stop the interview, that's a way to get someone to stop.
That's a way to get someone's attention.
Yeah.
Let me just grab you by the throat.
He's like, I'm just going to hold you by the throat while I talk to you, man. We got to do this together. We can bury them together.
So we got that, and then the next match we got is Crush versus Goldust with Marlena, and I was not looking forward to this. I think both these guys at this point are very boring wrestlers. Well, this match was a bore, which I knew it would be. But during the match, we do see Hunter Hearst Helmsley come down to the ring to distract Goldust, which allows Crush to regain control of the match. But Helmsley eventually leaves. You would think he would stick around to see if Goldust lost the match, but he doesn't. Goldust gets back in control of the match, and he goes for the curtain call, but Savio Vega enters the ring and hits Goldust in the back of the head with his spinning heel kick. If you're wondering where the ref was, he was distracted by the other Nation of Domination members. There's a million of them.
Yeah, Clarence Mason is distracting the ref.
So Crush picks Goldust up, and he hits him with the Hart Punch for the win in 8 minutes and 19 seconds. Way too long for a match between these two. But Goldust has really fallen off after turning face. It's just not good.
Which is interesting because he was so fun to watch when he first came in.
I agree. And his crowd work was good. I don't know. It just was not needed to be a face character.
Yeah.
But then after that match, we do get a Blackjack Mulligan vignette where he says the Blackjacks will ride again. And of course, this is advertising the new Blackjacks, which will be Blackjack Bradshaw and Blackjack Barry Windham, the new Blackjacks.
We shall see if they get a better treatment than Furnace and LaFon. Spoiler alert, no.
Yeah, no, they do not. But let's jump back over to Nitro, where we have a ramp interview with Kevin Sullivan, Jimmy Hart, Conan, and Jacqueline. And I'm sure this is going to be a real treat. Sullivan says he thought the Horsemen were unraveling, but he let his personal life unravel, and he forgot where his strength really lied. Sullivan says Jacqueline was there for him 10 years ago, and she has always been the light in his tunnel. Jimmy Hart interrupts, and he says he hates women in professional wrestling, and says there's nothing... Yeah, he was cracking me up. But Jimmy Hart says women are nothing but trouble, and he thinks Jacqueline is here for other reasons, and he is going to get to the bottom of it. Mean Gene quips that Jimmy Hart just hates women. It sounds like it.
Yeah, it certainly does.
Conan says they need to destroy the Four Horsemen, Dungeon of Doom style, and he asks Sullivan for a favor, and that favor is he wants Sullivan to let him finish Sullivan's unfinished business tonight against Chris Benoit. Sullivan agrees as Jacqueline kind of grinds on him, and she says, unlike Nancy, which of course is woman's real name, she didn't have to have plastic surgery to get a body like hers, and she is all natural. Those tits are not natural. You're lying to me.
Yeah.
But she says that woman is jealous that she took Kevin Sullivan away from her, and then Sullivan tells Benoit that this won't end tonight. And when Sullivan said that this feud won't end tonight, I almost cried. I know I crap on the feud. It has some good moments, but I mean, good Lord.
They have some good matches. I really liked that first match. They had Falls Count Anywhere, whatever.
But it just didn't need to go on this long. I've mentioned it in another episode. WWE and WCW seem to be having a competition to see which feud can last longer between Sullivan Benoit and the Nation of Domination and Ahmed Johnson. We'll see which one outlasts the other. But we'll go to a sixth match for Nitro. It is Diamond Dallas Page versus the Renegade. Of course, knowing where these two are on the card right now, this is a job match. 2 minutes, 3 seconds. Page wins this match, hitting the Renegade with a top rope diamond cutter, which the crowd loved. And Mike Tenay called the move the Diamond Death Cutter. So that looks to be what they're naming that one. But after the match, Hall and Nash come out to the entrance ramp and they taunt Page before they start walking towards the ring. They stop suddenly when they see Sting and Macho Man in the crowd. Page grabs a chair and he looks to the outsiders and then towards Sting and Macho Man, and he's just kind of like holding everyone off with a chair. Eventually, everyone just leaves after about a minute of doing nothing. The commentary team does make note of the fact that Macho Man is wearing black and white. Could it be to match Sting's black and white, or could that be a reference to the NWO, they wonder?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I was like, oh, okay.
But let's go over to Raw again, where we will have an in-ring interview with Shawn Michaels. The crowd in Toronto does not like Shawn Michaels. Canada themselves just is not a fan of this guy, and they will have even more reason to not be a fan soon. But Shawn says if you asked him a year ago, he would have told you the WWF title represented everything good in the WWF. But now the WWF title has brought out the worst in the WWF superstars, including himself. Shawn says if being bad is what you have to do to be the champion, then he will be the worst guy the WWF has ever seen. Shawn says everyone hates it when he is honest, and Bret can call himself the best there is, whatever, but he can't call himself WWF champ. Bret Hart then comes back out, and the crowd cheers for their hero. Bret tells Shawn that no matter how much he tried to like Shawn, he has found it harder each time. He's shooting here. Bret tells Shawn that Shawn said it best when he called himself a degenerate and a jackass. But as far as Bret Hart is concerned, Shawn is nothing but a punk. Shawn takes the mic and he tells Bret that he will be a jackass, a degenerate, and anything Bret wants him to be, but Shawn will also be champion.
I thought that line was pretty good. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
That's got to piss Bret off.
Oh, yeah. He's throwing it in his face. I'm the champion. You're not. Do something about it. Stone Cold then comes down and he attacks Bret Hart, and the two go after each other as Sid comes down and he exchanges some words with Shawn Michaels as we go to commercial. And then after commercial, Shawn and Bret are still face to face. And eventually Shawn goes to leave. When he goes to pick up his title off the ground, Bret Hart puts his foot on it. So Shawn takes a step back. Bret picks the title up and he goes to hand it to Shawn Michaels, but then he just drops it to the floor disrespectfully as Shawn was reaching for it. And the crowd loved that. They're like, yeah, fuck you, Shawn.
Oh, yeah, they loved it.
So Bret Hart then leaves as Shawn picks up the title and taunts the Canadian crowd with it. This segment here was by far the best thing on the show so far. But to tell you how good Bret Hart is right now, Bret is having two feuds at one time. One with Shawn Michaels, one with Stone Cold, and they're both damn good feuds. So he's having a hell of a year.
I know that was a good segment. If they had done Shawn and Bret again at Mania, that would have been a lot of money. I wonder what they would have done with Austin if Shawn and Bret had gotten along.
Have him go against The Undertaker or Sid, I guess. The butterfly effect. But after that money segment, we then see footage of Tiger Ali Singh signing a contract. This is being presented as a big deal. I think I said it one time. It turned out to be an absolute dud, but we do get to see the signing here. But let's go back over to Nitro, where we have our 7th match. It is Super Kalo versus Alex Wright. The crowd is not into this match, which a lot of times they're not. Yeah, I agree. We get some boring chants. The two guys definitely are not able to get the crowd on their side after Super Kalo screws up severely as he tries to jump onto the mid turnbuckle, and he just absolutely slips. The match as a whole was super clunky and uncoordinated.
It wasn't Alex Wright's fault.
No. Anyways, we'll just fast forward. Alex Wright wins the match after Kalo misses a somersault splash, and then Wright hits a top rope missile dropkick for the win.
A beautiful missile dropkick too. He gets a lot of air on it.
Yeah, he does. The match was 6 minutes and 8 seconds. I was with the crowd in this one. I didn't care about the match. I was hoping it would be a 2-minute variety, but they decided to make this one of the longer matches tonight.
Super Kalo is just not doing it for me.
Yeah, I don't like his mask. I think his mask is stupid. Bobby Heenan does too on commentary. Yeah, not a fan of this. Let's just go back over to Raw, see what we got going on. We have our 5th match of the night. It is Mark Merrow versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley. This is a match for the Intercontinental title.
This will be, the 8th time. Now, singles matches is the 5th time. Now, good news for you, Max. This episode, as far as I have it, is the last time you will see these two wrestle.
Good. It's not bad when they wrestle, but we've seen it time and time again. But for this match, the managers and security, they are barred from ringside for this one. And the reason for that is this is a house show, taped house show. And the managers didn't make a lot of those shows because they didn't want to pay people for going to shows they didn't need to be at. So this is how they kind of explain that. But after the match gets going, Helmsley blocks a slingshot splash and he hits a stalling suplex and knee drop for a 2 count. And then after a commercial break, we see Mark Merrow deliver a tilt-a-whirl head scissors and he sends Helmsley into the corner. And Helmsley does his typical corner bump to the outside.
Oh, he loves that bump.
Yeah, he can't take it normal. So then Merrow hits a somersault plancha to the outside. He brings Helmsley back into the ring. And then soon after, he hits a Samoan drop and then a Merrow salt for a 2 count. Then throughout the proceedings here, Triple H will expose one of the turnbuckles. And he tries to send Merrow into that exposed turnbuckle, but Merrow avoids it. And he tries to show the ref that the turnbuckle is exposed. And this allows Helmsley to bring out a foreign object, and he hits Merrow with it behind the ref's back. and he covers Miro for the win.
It wasn't terrible.
Yeah, I actually thought for one of theirs, it's probably one of the better ones. Not bad at all, but we have seen this a million times, so my interest wasn't as high as it should have been.
Yeah. So they have wrestled 8 times. Their record against each other, 4-4. So we need another match.
So he will retain the Intercontinental title. Let's go to the 8th match of Nitro. It is Konnan versus Chris Benoit with woman. In the beginning of the match, Konnan dominates with Benoit getting almost nothing in. Benoit comes alive and the crowd pops, but Benoit has a tough time getting Konnan on the top rope, but he's able to muscle him up there, and he hits a superplex for a 2 count. And then soon after that, Konnan hits the power drop for a 2 count. Benoit then counters a German suplex attempt from Konnan. As we see Jacqueline come down and she approaches woman, and Jackie has a belt in hand. She's not playing any games. Benoit then throws Konnan out of the ring, causing a disqualification. He decks Jimmy Hart. He rips the belt from Jacqueline, and then Jackie goes diving under the ring. She's looking for a chair, but I guess someone in WCW's production team didn't put the chair where it was supposed to be, because she is down there for a long time searching for this damn thing.
And she comes out with a water bottle.
Yeah, it completely ruined the finish here.
Everybody's just standing and staring because obviously she had to have some kind of different weapon. And they have Jimmy Hart come over, him and Konnan pull her away. I wonder if they sent Jimmy out there as like an audible because she couldn't find the weapon.
They had to, because it was bombing out there. But yeah, it was definitely awkward. Completely ruined the finish of this, whatever they were going for. But officially, Konnan wins the match by disqualification in 4 minutes and 15 seconds. Another dud segment in this feud.
Yeah.
Can't wait for it to be over.
Yeah, I hate the over-the-top DQ rule. Awful. In 98, that goes away, so that's nice.
Should have never been a thing, really. But let's go over to Raw, where we have our main event. Farouk and Mankind versus The Undertaker and Ahmed Johnson. And this is a no-holds-barred match. So essentially, this match is just a brawl. It goes on for a little bit. We have a commercial break. After the commercial break, we see Mankind has the mandible claw on The Undertaker until Ahmed Johnson comes in to break it up. And then he goes to put Mankind in the Pearl River Plunge, but Farouk comes in and he hits the Dominator on Ahmed. Undertaker chokeslams Mankind, and Ahmed Johnson had enough of the Nation of Domination members interfering, so he chases them away, leaving the Undertaker in the ring with both Mankind and Farouk. But Undertaker is not all alone. Ahmed will eventually come back with his trusty 2x4, and he hits Farouk with it, and he chases Farouk out of the arena, leaving just Mankind and Undertaker in the ring. Paul Bearer, of course, is here with Mankind. So he gives Mankind some powder, but Undertaker hits it out of Mankind's hands, makes the powder fall into Mankind's face, blinding him. And before the Undertaker can take advantage, Vader comes out and splashes the Undertaker. The Mankind gets the Undertaker back up and holds him so that Vader can hit him with a chair. Of course, as we see a million times, the person gets out of the way, so Vader accidentally hits Mankind with the chair. So we had Mankind accidentally hit Vader last week, so now I guess the two are even. So the Undertaker then gets Vader out of the ring, and he tombstones Mankind on the chair for the win. Kind of chaotic match here.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was definitely like a house show match.
Yeah, it took 10 minutes and 29 seconds. It didn't really get interesting to the end, but Mankind took one heck of a chair shot in this match. We are getting to the point where we are nailing these chair shots.
Mm-hmm.
That is the end of Raw this week. Overall, the bad quality of the footage was distracting at times. Oh, and the lighting also made everything look a little bit dark.
But change is coming.
Positive, change is coming. And on the positive, we did get a very good segment with Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Stone Cold, and Sid and all that. The matches itself were not the best, but there's some stuff here to work on. Building towards Owen Hart and Bulldog. We'll get a match here soon between the two of them that is going to be one of the best Raw matches of all time. And we finally end the Helmsley-Mero feud, so we like that.
If you like that, let's check out the Nitro main event.
Yeah, the Nitro main event was supposed to be Jeff Jarrett versus Lex Luger. Lex Luger got attacked. He's out. So it is Jeff Jarrett versus Mongo McMichael. Mongo and Deborah come down arguing with each other because Deborah, of course, does not want Mongo to wrestle Jarrett. And Mongo doesn't care what she wants. He wants a piece of Jarrett. But when Jarrett gets into the ring, he wants to do his usual strutting. But Mongo won't move out of the way until Deborah gives Mongo a light push. And she likes what she sees. Mongo clearly doesn't. He's had enough of this shit. So he hits Jarrett from behind so the match can start. Mongo hits a power slam for a 2 count. He then goes for an elbow drop. That misses. So Jarrett is able to get an atomic drop and a crossbody for a 2 count. Jarrett then drop kicks Mongo out of the ring. And then Deborah starts begging her husband to not get back in the ring. And this goes on long enough that Mongo does get counted out. And Jarrett celebrates in the ring and tells Mongo that he outsmarted him. The crowd, even in Memphis, Tennessee, does not seem to care too much for this story. But Nitro is not over. We do have one more thing. We have a Roddy Piper promo to answer the challenge from Hulk Hogan. Piper comes out to a good pop, and he comes out with one of his sons. We'll get to the business here. Roddy says he has already beat Hogan, and he introduces us to his son, Colt. Piper starts talking about being a father of 6 kids, and he tells Hogan no thanks to the title shot because Piper says he has nothing left to prove. And then right after Piper declines the challenge, the NWO music plays, bringing out Hogan, Bischoff, DiBiase, and Vincent. Piper tells Terry, using Hogan's real name, to not do this because, of course, Piper's son is here. He asks Hogan to let him and his son go home. Hogan calls Piper weak, and he tells Piper to get on his knees and beg as this crowd just boos the hell out of Hogan. Hogan tells Piper that he has never been a world champion, and he says Piper took a calculated risk by bringing his son out here tonight, essentially calling Piper a coward for doing that, hiding behind his son. Bischoff tells Piper to say that Hollywood Hogan beat him, and Piper reluctantly does say that. Mean Gene tells Piper that he doesn't have to say that. He doesn't have to be humiliated like this. And Piper just tells Mean Gene that he just wants to go home.
Gene also calls Hogan Terry. He tells Terry not to do this to Piper and let him go home. So I was like, oh, that kind of making it seem like more real because he's actually using his real name.
And this has gotten too real now.
Yeah,
this
it's
is too
gotten
far.
too real. I was like, Terry, what are you doing?
So I like that. It can be done when it's done right.
Yeah, exactly.
But Hogan shouts at Piper to tell everyone who the real icon is, and Piper reluctantly says Hogan is. Hogan seems to be happy with that answer, and he tells Piper that he is done with him, and he tells Piper to get out of his sport. Piper goes to leave, but Hogan slaps Piper in the back of the head twice, just being real disrespectful. Piper and his son continue to head out of the ring, but before leaving, he kneels down and he tells his son he is sorry. He has his son leave the ring, and once his son is out of harm's way, he turns to Hogan and he attacks Hogan. And then Bischoff grabs a chair, but Bischoff is too cowardly to get into the ring as Piper is just raining down punches on Hogan. Piper takes off his belt buckle and grinds it on Hogan's face. And then Hogan just stumbles out of the ring as Piper grabs a mic and he tells Hogan to let the games begin. And in San Francisco, Hogan will watch his fists go. Piper accepts Hogan's challenge for the WCW title. This was a pretty good segment to end the show. The crowd liked it, but I liked how they made this feel personal, almost real between the two. So it sold the segment well, and I think it was effective in making you want to see the rematch. But overall for Nitro, the ending segment really was the only thing noteworthy on this show because we got a lot of poor, short matches, and a lot of the storyline progression wasn't really there besides this main event match. So overall for me, I actually picked WF to win.
I picked WCW. The overall, I thought WCW was just more consistent.
Nah.
Now, the ratings, of course, we're in the streak. We're at 32 weeks now. It was Nitro 3.1 to 2.6. What's interesting is there is a ratings battle next week, even though Raw airs a different time. I'm not sure why that's still counted.
We will still pick a winner ourselves as well. But that is it for this week. Thank you for watching. Tell us who you think won this week, and we'll see you on the next one.